Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's day 4 of my book WEEN and we'll be talking all things thriller for this year. Let's get going. There's quite a few and I'm really intrigued by it, so I thought I will show them. My first book is I Killed the King by Rebecca Mix and Andrea Hanna. After a decade of war, the kingdoms of Arendelle and Styria have finally agreed to peace, as nobles and magic wielders from both countries arrive at remote Castle Arendelle for a historic all-night masquerade to celebrate. King Costas summons an unlikely group to the Crown Prince. To meet his Crown Prince? Alright. His sterling bride to be his personal guard, a wild beast tamer, and the palace questions a new hero, but before Costas can reveal why he has gathered them, the castle goes dark. When the lights come back, the king is dead, murdered with the prince's knife, in a weak spot only his guard knew of, and with weapon from one of the beast tamer's monsters facing the blade. With no clear killer and everyone a suspect, they make a risky tale, no one until the treaty is signed. What is with the summary? Oh my god. But when a winter storm sears everyone inside and someone aware of the king's untimely death begins to pick off guests one by one, the 6 suspects must work together to discover who killed the king before one of them is next. These summaries, is no one proofreading them? What in the world? Anyways, my next one is Keep Your Friends Close by Cynthia Murphy. Chloe Roberts is on top of the world. After stellar first year at the prestigious Morton Academy, she's a shoo-in for head girl and a coveted position in the school's secret society, Jewel and Bone. But her dreams are shattered when her best friend Nikita Patel unfairly snatches the top spot and steals Chloe's boyfriend at the same time. Heartbroken and humiliated, Chloe deserves a shocking truth. Jewel and Bone isn't as secret as she thought. The rest of the school despises the jewels, and there's even a book of crime and punishment cataloging their misdeeds. Things take a really dark turn when the names in the book start to correlate with murders of Jewel and Bone members on campus. Suddenly, anyone could be a suspect. And now, Chloe must navigate a web of lies and deceit to get to the bottom of this twisted game before she's the next on the kill list. My next book is Season of Fear by Emily Cooper. Child in the Bavarian village of Healers Sea. One feeds the terror to an agency in fear. In return, it protects them from the monsters of the Hexen world. The haunted world is on the doorstep. Born unfearing, Elise? It's I-L or L-L-S-E? Elise, I think? Elise Arden Wall has felt like an outsider all her life. When the state discovers Elise divergence, it levels as she must fight her fear or the state will devour her sister Dorothea, the only person who loves Elise unconditionally. Unwilling to lose Thea, Elise enters the Hexen world. She hopes that its honors will finally unleash her fear and in turn save her sister. But during her quest, Elise inadvertently uncovers something more sinister than the monsters that hunt her darkness within herself. As the forest closes in, Elise hopes for a noble future begin to slip away, as well as the chance to save not just Thea, but all women in Healers Sea. My next book is Marina Monsters by Jennifer Newbean. A dead teacher at an elite boarding school forced students who had every reason to want her gone, who is the monster. At an elite New England boarding school, 8 students are selected for an exclusive storytelling workshop with the one and only Meredith Graham, an enacting writer, director, and actress. For 16 days, they will live in the isolated estate of the school's founder, surrounded by snowy woods on the storm-tossed seas. Only one of the chosen will walk away with a life-changing opportunity to realize their creative dreams. Everyone, including Graham, has a compelling reason to be there. Effie, the orphan, Isaac, the legacy, Ness, the wallflower, Rama, the outsider, and Alor, whose unexpected arrival leaves Effie spiraling, but only the most ambitious will last the term. Graham's unorthodox methods push the students past the breaking point, revealing their darkest secrets and taking unthinkable risks, and slowly starting to turn on one another, but Graham never expected they would turn on her. My next book is One Dark Night by Hannah Michelle. On Halloween, a group of teenage students meet in the woods near Sally in the Wood, a world steeped in the local lore and rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a murdered girl. By the end of the night, one student will be dead. Rachel, the school guidance counselor, is trying to keep a handle on her increasingly distant teenage daughter, Ellie, while the students and parents panic and mourn. Her ex-husband and Detective Ben, dealing with a personal crisis of his own, has concerns about his daughter's safety as he investigates the death of one of her classmates. Meanwhile, Ellie is keeping secrets from both her parents, including one about where she was that night. My next book is The Wild Trials by Mackenzie Reed. Chloe Getty will do whatever it takes to win her in-late boarding school's annual competition, The Wild Trials. In the 2 weeks leading up to graduation from Wild Academy, a dozen students are chosen to compete in a series of ultimate physical and mental tests, and the winner will take home over $500,000, money that Chloe needs to help her sick sister. But the competition is fierce and includes the brooding ex-boyfriend Hayes Stratford, whose brother was the only student to die during the trials a few years ago. When someone starts blackmailing Chloe during the competition, she's forced to strike a deal with Hayes. If he helps to discover who is sabotaging her, she will help him solve the mystery his brother left behind. My next book is Red as Royal Blood by Elizabeth Hart. Ruby has never found a puzzle she couldn't solve, even though she's destined to spend the rest of her life as a servant to the royal family. Her mind itches for a true challenge, but no puzzle could prepare her for the king's decision to name Ruby as the next heir to the throne just before his death. Thrown into the viper's nest of corn, Ruby is forced to contend with the kingdom crisis, the dead king's angry wife, and the 3 entitled and annoyingly handsome princes. Then, as if being newly crowned queen wasn't enough, she discovers a note left by the king that claims he was murdered, and that she might be next. My next book is Cool Eternity by S.A. Barnes. Haley is on the run from an interplanetary political scandal that has put a huge target on her back. She heads for what seems like the perfect place to lay low, a gigantic space barge storing the cryogenetically frozen bodies of Earth's most fortunate citizens from more than a century ago. The cryo program, created by trillionaire tech genius Dale Winfield, is long defunct, and the AI hologram host is ghoulishly created in the likeness of Winfield's 3 adult children, Uncle and G. The ship feels like a crypt, and the isolation gets to Haley almost immediately. She starts to see figures crawling in the hallways, and there's a constant scraping, splintering, and rattling echoing in the vents. It's not long before Haley realizes she may have gotten herself trapped in an even more dangerous situation than the one she was running from. My next book is The Ghost Rider by Julie Clark. June 1975, the Taylor family shatters in a single night when 2 teenage siblings are found dead in their own home. The only surviving sibling, Vincent, never shakes a whisper and accusation that he was the one who killed them. Decades later, the legend only grows as his career as a horror writer skyrockets. Ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she is the only child of Vincent Taylor. Now on the brink of financial ruin, she is offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. What she doesn't know, though, is that this project is another one of his lies, because it's not another horror novel he wants her to write. My next book is Death on the Island by Eliza Reed. Trapped on a remote island by howling storm, 9 people all sit down to dinner. One of them is about to die. A group of international players has gathered in a tiny village off the coast of Iceland for a diplomatic dinner. There's Christian, the mayor reeling from a personal tragedy, Graham, the ambassador with an agenda to push, Jane, his wife, along for the ride on another one of her husband's many business trips, and several others from Iceland and from aboard, each with their own reason for being there, their own loyalties and grievances. By the end of the night, one of them will be dead, and it'll be up to the ambassador's wife, Jane, to figure out how and why. My next book is When Devil Stings by Zahn Code. 4 unlikely allies in a small town investigate a local teen's disappearance, and what they discover festering at the core of the community is far more sinister and ancient than they can ever imagine. When Dodson's son goes missing, all he leaves behind is a spattering of blood in room 4 of the death-ridden motel owned by Nina Singh's family. Disappearances like this aren't uncommon in the rural Georgia town of Cameron, especially every 13 years when a periodical cicada brood returns from underground, shrieking to deafening screams. For Nina, Dodson is another reminder that in this corner of the South, the rich only get richer, and the poor, well, nothing good comes their way. My next book is Out of Air by Rachel Reese. The deeper you go, the darker you fall. Phoebe Phibbs Ray is never more at home than she is underwater. On a dive 6 months ago, she and her 4 closest friends discovered a handful of ancient gold coins, rocketing them into social media fame. Now, their final summer together after high school, they're taking one last trip to a distant Australian island to do what they love most, scuba dive. While diving, a local reef Phoebs discover a spectacular underwater sea cave, rumored to be a lost cave with the buried treasure. But when Phoebs and her best friend gain surface from the cave, they are undergoing strange changes, oozing gashes that don't heal, haunting whispers in their heads. Something has latched onto them, lurking beneath the skin, transforming them from the inside out. My next book is The Matter of Dreams by Christina Lee. They say what you don't know can't hurt you, but silence can be deadly. Vivian Yin is dead, the first Chinese actress to win an Oscar, the trailblazing Indian, rose to fame in the 80s, only to disappear from the spotlight at the height of her career and live out the rest of her life as a recluse. Now her remaining family members are gathered for the reading of her will, and her daughters expect to inherit their childhood, Vivian's grand, sprawling Southern California garden estate. But due to a last-minute change to the will, the house is passed on to another family instead, one that has suddenly returned after decades of estrangement. My next book is You Are Fatally Invited by Anne Pleasure. When renowned Anonymous author J.R. Alistair hires former aspiring writer Miller Dell A.H.L. to host a writing retreat at his private manor off the coast of Maine, she jumps at the chance, particularly since she has an axe to grind with one of the invitees. The guest list, 6 thriller authors, all masters of deceit, misdirection, and mayhem, confess to crimes, survive the tropes. Alistair and Miller have masterminded a week of games, trope-filled riddles, and maybe a jump scare or two, the perfect cover for Miller to plot a murder of her own. But when the guest turns up dead, it's not the murder she planned. Miller finds herself trapped in a different narrative altogether. My next book is Cottam House by Bailey Seybold. On a blistering summer day in 1968, 9-year-old Tommy vanishes without a trace from Cottam House, an orphanage on the shores of Lake Champlain. Some say a nun drowned him, others say he ran away, or maybe he never existed. 50 years later, his disappearance is still unsolved. Struggling true crime writer Alex Cayley needs a fresh start. When she is asked to ghostwrite a book about the orphanage and abuses that occur there, she picks up the belongings and moves to Winter Burlington, Vermont. As Alex tries to untangle the conflicting stories surrounding Tommy's disappearance, her investigation takes a chilling turn when she discovers a woman's body in the lake. Alex is convinced the death is connected to Cottam House's dark past, even if a local police officer, Russell Parker, thinks she's just desperate for a career-saving story. As the body count rises, Alex must prove that the key to finding the killer lies in Tommy's murders, or risk becoming the next victim. My next book is Dead Money by Jacob Kidd. Don't call me a fixer, this isn't HBO. In her job as unofficial problem solver for Silicon Valley's most ruthless venture capitalist Mackenzie Klein's gotten used to playing for high stakes, even if none of those tech bro millions she's so good at wrangling ever make it into her pockets. But this time she had one way over her head, or so it seems. The lightning rod CEO of tech's hottest startup has just been murdered, leaving behind billions in dead money frozen in his will. As the company's chief investor, Mackenzie Boss has a fortune on the line, and with the police treading water, it's up to Mackenzie to step up and resolve things fast. Mackenzie, the lawyer, not a detective, cracking his fiendishly clever killing with his list of suspects that reads like who's who, all Valley power players should be way out of the league. Except that Mackenzie used to being underestimated. In fact, she's counting on it. And my last book is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstein. It's the most famous crime in modern history, but only she knows the true story. After the unexpected death of her father, college student Jane Shrub longs for distraction from her grief. She becomes obsessed with true crime, befriending armchair detectives who teach her how to hunt killers from afar. So when her news of the shocking deaths of 3 college girls in Delphine, Idaho, takes the world by storm and sleuths everyone race to solve the crimes, Jane and her friends are determined to beat them, but the case turns out to be stranger than anyone could expected. Details don't add up, the police are cagey, and there seems to be more media hype and internet team raising than actual evidence. When Jane and her sleuths take a step closer, they find that every answer only begs more questions. Something's not adding up, and they begin to suspect the killer may be smarter and more prolific than they ever faced before. Placing themselves in the center of the story starts to feel more and more like walking into a trap. Alright, so those are some of the books to read for Thriller 2025. Let me know if any of this interests you, or what thriller books you have read, and please like, comment, subscribe so you know if I ever post, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!